Hello students, good afternoon and welcome to another practice problem session for the course Basics in Biology NOC BT 25, and my name is Ashutosh Behra and I am the teaching assistant for this course. It is already 3:05 p.m. and we will start the class soon. So for all those who are joining the live class as well as who will be watching this recorded video, this is a recorded class. This is a problem solving session for lecture week 8 practice problem set from the lectures, all the lectures that have been covered for the course Basics in Biology, right? And the class recordings as well as the presentations that I'm going to share in this class will be uploaded in a drive link, and the link will be provided to you by the NPTEL authorities. So this is a live interactive session where you guys may interact with me, may ask your doubts, and clear your clear your concepts about basics in biology. So this is the general procedure of the class. This is a problem solving session. So I have prepared 10 to 15 exemplar questions similar to what you face in your quizzes and assignments and also in your final exams. These are the questions from the same set of lectures with the corresponding week. Today we'll be dealing with lecture week 8, and I will display the questions one by one. These are all multiple choice question with 4 options and only one options correct. Some question with the exception may have one or more options correct. Now I will ask the students who are watching this and also the students who are in the live session to select the correct answer, post it in the comment box so that I can check it, read it, and then after a minute of collecting some answers, I will reveal the correct answer. So this is the format that we are going to follow throughout this 2-hour live session for Basics in Biology. And my name is Ashutosh Behra. I'm a PhD scholar from IIT Kanpur from PMRF contingency. Okay, with that much of an introduction, let us begin the class. Meanwhile, anyone who is requesting to join this link will be allowed by me. And without any further ado, let me share my screen with you guys. And also a common set of instructions for everyone who is joining the live class. Please turn off your video and please turn off your video and mic during this class for smooth conduction of this session. Do not worry, this is an interactive session and you can interact with me via the chat box. Post your queries and comments and interactions with me in the chat box. I will be following it routinely, and let's hope for a good fruitful session with interaction in the both ways. So let me just share my screen. I'll turn off my video and share my screen. I hope my voice is audible. Just now shared my screen. Just let me give me a minute. I'll try to reconnect. Okay, excuse me for the misconnection, but I think I lost my connection. I will try to reconnect and reshare my screen with you guys. Okay, just give me a minute. I will very soon share my screen with you guys. Yes, entire screen share. Yeah, now I think my screen is visible to you guys, and am I audible enough? You can let me know in the chat box with a yes or no. Okay. Yes. So is my screen visible to you guys? I just hope that my screen is visible. Can you see the slides changing? Maybe I have to log in again. I'm just having some issues. Just let me end this presentation and present again. Maybe if I just share my screen again. No. Present now the entire screen. I think now I'll be able to join again. Join. Okay. So now can you see my slides? And can you see them changing? Is my voice audible? Just let me know with a yes or no in the chat box, and we are ready to go. Okay, cool. So once again, I welcome you guys to lecture week 8. It's a practice problem solving session for NPTEL course Basics of Biology NOC 25 BT02. The course instructor is Professor Vishal Trivedi from IIT Guwahati, and my name is Ashutosh Behra. I'm a PMRF PhD scholar at IIT Kanpur. So as I explained earlier, this is the format of problem solving session we are going to follow, and we have been following till 8 weeks of 8 weeks of lecture each Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. I will post 15 questions corresponding to the week lecture 8, question number 1 to 15, 4 multiple choice questions, of which only one option is correct. And I will ask those students who are participating in this live class, as well as those who will be watching the recorded video, to guess the correct answer, to tell me what they think is the correct answer. And then after a minute of collecting many such answers from students and engaging them in participation, I will reveal what is the correct answer to the question, and then slowly in brief we will understand the concept behind why the correct answer is the right answer. and there in the process clear our concepts of the topic itself. Okay, and we will go very slow. If you have any doubts at any question or any concept related to any question, you can ask me again and I'll be happy to clarify it for you. Okay, with that much of an introduction, let's move to the first question of this practice problem session. Question number 1. The organisms that fulfills the requirement of food from rotten parts of dead and decaying matter are known as dashed. This is the question. Read the question carefully. I'll read it again. The organisms that fulfills the requirement of food from rotten parts of dead and decaying matter are known as dashed. Option A, holozoic organisms. Option B, saprophytic organisms. Option C, parasitic organisms. Option D, autotrophic organisms. So these are 4 different kinds of organisms, and you have to find out a category of organism that fulfills the requirement of food from rotten parts of dead and decaying organic matter. Come on guys, I want everyone to participate. Let me wait for a minute, collect some answers, and then I will reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Okay, I think it's enough time and time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. So the correct answer to this question is option B, saprophytic organisms. Saprophytic organisms fulfill the requirement of food from rotten, dead and decaying organic matter. These are saprophytes. Now, what are the different types of modes of nutrition? Two major divisions for modes of nutrition. One is autotrophy, self-feeding, where organisms which can synthesize organic molecules from inorganic sources, like plants. Plants are the best example of autotrophs. And then the other form is heterotrophy, other form of nutrition, other source of feeding, organisms which obtain organic molecules from other organisms. Autotrophy, autotrophs produce or synthesize these organic molecules from present inorganic substances. Heterotrophy, organisms obtain organic molecules from other organisms. They might be autotrophs or heterotrophs. Now, autotrophs can again be divided into 2 types: photoautotrophs or chemoautotrophs. Photoautotroph undergo photosynthesis like plants. Photoautotrophs make organic compounds using energy derived from the sun or solar energy, harvesting the light energy and using it to convert inorganic substances to organic molecules. Chemoautotrophs does chemosynthesis, makes organic compounds using energy derived from oxidation of chemicals. Oxidation of various inorganic chemicals, the energy of the oxidation is used in making organic compounds. Now, heterotrophy can be further divided into 3 types. One is consumers, which ingest organic matter which is living or recently killed. Example, herbivores, carnivores and scavengers. The other is a detritivores, ingest non-living organic matter. Example, earthworms, wood lice, or saprotrophs, this is where our organism of interest comes in, feeds on non living organic matter by secreting digestive enzymes and absorbing the products. So, this is saprotrophy. It feeds on non living organic matter by secreting digestive enzymes. Example, bacteria and fungus, also known as decomposers. Now, what are saprophytes? Saprophytes or saprophytic nutrition is a mode of nutrition in which organisms obtain their food from dead and decaying organic matter. These organisms, known as saprophytes, break down complex organic substances into simpler forms using enzyme and absorb the nutrients. So they have enzymes which can degrade complex organic and inorganic substances and then absorb the nutrients. Now, what is a saprophyte or a saprotroph? Saprotroph, also called a saprophyte or a saprobe, organism that feeds on non-living organic matter known as detritus at a microscopic level. Saprotrophic organisms are considered critical to decomposition and nutrient cycling and include fungi, certain bacteria, and fungus-like organisms known as water molds, phylum Oomycota. So all the fungus family, some of the bacterial species are well-known saprotrophs, and they are critical for decomposition and nutrient cycling in the environment. Now, what are the common examples of saprophytes? Fungi, example mushrooms, molds and yeast, bacteria, example decomposers like Pseudomonas, and certain plants, example Indian pipe, Monotropa, and some other orchids. Now, what is the process of saprophytic nutrition? The first step in saprophytic nutrition is secretion of digestive enzymes. The organism releases digestive enzymes onto the dead material. Then breakdown of organic matter happens. The enzyme break down complex organic substances like proteins and carbohydrates and fats into simpler molecules. Absorption of nutrients. The organism absorbs simpler molecules for growth and energy. So, this is the process of saprophytic nutrition, and saprophytes are those which obtain food from dead and decaying matter. Is it clear? Is it understood? I hope it is clear to the students. Just let me know with a thumbs up or a yes or no. Very good. Moving on to the next question. Question number 2. Tapeworms exhibit dash mode of nutrition. I'll repeat the question again. Tapeworms exhibit dashed mode of nutrition. Option A, autotrophic. Option B, holozoic. Option C, saprophytic. Option D, parasitic. What kind of nutrition does tapeworm exhibit? Let me wait for a minute and collect some answers, and then I will reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Okay, time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Tapeworms exhibit parasitic mode of nutrition. This is the correct answer to this question. Tapeworms are parasites. Now let us understand different modes of nutrition and what is parasitic nutrition. In parasitic nutrition is a type of nutrition in which organisms derive their food from other living organisms without killing but harming them. So this is a necessary point. In this mode of nutrition, organisms derive their food from other living organisms without directly killing the organism, but they sure do harm the organisms. The organism which derives the food from other organism is called a parasite, and the other which provides the food is called as a host. So this is a host parasite interaction. So we have a parasite, which is the organism that derives the food, and the organism which provides the food is called a host. An example of well-known parasites are Plasmodium, Leishmania, tapeworm, leech, mosquitoes. So most of these parasites are causative agents of many notorious diseases, right? Here is a comparison between a parasitic relationship and a symbiotic relationship. In a parasitic relationship, the organisms involved are called host and parasites, while in a symbiotic relationship, the organisms involved are both called symbionts. In a parasitic relationship, it is a plus and minus kind of a relationship. The parasite is benefited, which is plus, and the host is harmed, which is minus. In a symbiotic relationship, the organisms involved are mutually benefited, so it is plus plus kind of a relationship. Number 3, parasites have modified roots called hostoria to suck the nutrients from the host plant. So here we are talking about a plant parasite called Cuscuta. So here parasites have specialized structures which can suck the nutrition, or which can derive the nutrition from the host. But in a symbiotic relationship, no special structures are needed. Some parasites may make their host completely devoid of nutrients. And among symbionts, one of the organisms provides nutrients while the other provides protection or other benefits. So it's a two-way street in a symbiotic relationship, but in a parasitic relationship, the parasite is benefited but the host is harmed. Now, how does a tapeworm obtain its nutrients? The tapeworms usually live inside small intestines of humans. Food in small intestine is already digested because small intestine has already digested food. The digestion happens in the stomach, and while it passes through the duodenum, where there are pancreatic juices, the bile, small intestine, by the time the food reaches small intestine, it is already digested. So the tapeworm is a clever parasite. It lives inside the small intestine of humans, where food is already digested, and the food is then absorbed directly through the body wall of tapeworm by diffusion. So tapeworm then absorbs it through its thin body wall. So this is the structure of the tapeworm. The head region of the tapeworm, followed by a slender neck, and then a thin body structure which is segmented. Nutrients in human intestine is absorbed directly into the tapeworm segments, while the head region of the tapeworm contains ring of hooks, sucker, which helps it to latch onto muscle walls and inner lining of the small intestine. And then the nutrients in human intestine are absorbed directly into tapeworm segments. Is it clear to the students that the tapeworm is a parasite and its mode of nutrition is parasitic? Just let me know in the chat if it's clear to the students. We will move forward. Okay, great. Coming on to question number 3. Pepsin is predominantly present in dashed. The question is about pepsin. Pepsin is predominantly present in dashed. Is it option A, stomach? Is it option B, large intestine? Is it option C, small intestine? Or D, mouth? Where is pepsin predominantly present? Let me take a minute to collect some answers and then I will reveal the correct answer to this question. Okay, I think it's time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Pepsin is predominantly present in the stomach. Pepsin is an enzyme predominantly present in the stomach in the digestive system of our body. Now, where does pepsin play a role in the stomach? Pepsin plays a major role in digestion. The esophagus is the food pipe which is leading to a bag like structure called stomach. There we have the gastric acid secretion and many other valves which makes the stomach a bag, a churning bag for digestion. Now, what is the function of pepsin? The pepsin is secreted in the stomach cells and it breaks down protein. It degrades ingested protein into smaller peptide fragments. It breaks down protein into smaller peptides for easy absorption. Now, the parietal cells and the chief cells. The parietal cells secrete HCl while the chief cells secrete pepsinogen, which is a zymogen or an inactive form of pepsin. When this zymogen comes in contact with the HCl secreted from the parietal cell, it undergoes peptide removal or cleavage and peptide removal and then becomes an active pepsin active enzyme. So the pepsin active enzyme will then act on the dietary proteins and partially digest the dietary proteins into peptides so that these peptides can now be easily absorbed into the bloodstream. So the pepsin is secreted by chief cells acted upon by HCl from the parietal cell turns into active pepsin. Pepsinogen from the chief cell turns into active pepsin which can now degrade macromolecular proteins into small polypeptides. I hope it is clear to the students. We are going very slow, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me. The answer to this question was pepsin is predominantly found in the stomach and aids in degradation of dietary proteins. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next question. Question number 4. Parotid glands are present dashed. Where are parotid glands present? Option A, near the ears. Option B, near the liver. Option C, near esophagus. Option D, center of the brain. Where are the parotid glands present? Whether is it option A, option B, option C, or option D. I will wait for a minute and collect some answers from the students who are watching as well as who have joined the live class, and then I will reveal the answer in a minute. Okay, time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Parotid glands are present near the ears in the human body. These glands are present near the ears. Here is a super defined image of the parotid glands, the location present in the human body. If you see the facial structure from the side profile, then this big glandular structure is the parotid gland present right near the ears, below the ear, at the back end of the jaw. We have two parotid glands. One is the main parotid gland and an accessory parotid gland. And then there are other glands like sublingual gland and submandibular gland that are also shown in this picture, highlighting the key facial structure glands. Then the facial nerve is innervating the parotid glands the as well as the sublingual and submandibular gland. Now, what is the function of parotid gland? Parotid gland is one of the major components, secretes one of the major components of the saliva. Parotid salivary gland, serous watery secretions. So they contain serum and they are also watery, high inorganic content with calcium and bicarbonate, responsible for 20% of unstimulated salivary flow. So, parotid glands control the salivary flow in the mouth, and the secretion from a parotid gland has high inorganic content like calcium and bicarbonates. This proportion rise to 50 to 60% for stimulated salivary flow. Minor salivary glands in lips and oral mucosa are collectively responsible for 8 to 10% of unstimulated salivary flow. And sublingual salivary gland, mucus secretions more viscous, responsible for 5 to 7% of unstimulated salivary flow. Submandibular salivary gland, mixture of Mixture of serous and mucus secretions responsible for 65% of unstimulated salivary flow. The parotid gland is the largest salivary gland in the human body, located on both sides of the face, just in front of the ears. Its primary function is saliva production, which helps in digestion and oral health. Now, what are the functions of the parotid gland? Secretion of saliva is one of the major functions. It produces a serous, watery type of saliva that contains digestive enzyme. Enzyme production secretes salivary amylase which helps in the breakdown of starch into maltose. Lubrication, it moistens food, making it easier to chew and swallow. Oral health, helps in cleansing the mouth, preventing bacterial growth, and maintaining a balanced diet and maintaining a balanced pH. Sorry. Speech and taste, the parotid gland secretions keeps the oral cavity moist, which aids in speech and taste perception. So, students, we just now learned the location of parotid glands and briefly saw about what are the different functions the parotid gland performs. I hope it's clear to the students. Just let me know with a yes or no or a thumbs up. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. The mixture of food and saliva that forms in the mouth after chewing is known as dash. Come on, this should be an easy question. The mixture of food and saliva that forms in the mouth after chewing is known as dash. Option A, vestibule. Option B, chyme. Option C, bolus. Option D, uvula. What is the mixture of food and saliva that forms in the mouth after chewing? Let us wait for a minute and collect some answers, and then I'll reveal what is the correct answer. Okay, time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. The correct answer to this question is option C, bolus. Bolus is the mixture of food and saliva that forms in the mouth after chewing. Now let us understand the process of digestion, which is dissolution, absorption, and fermentation. Now, what is the definition of a bolus? A bolus is a soft, round mass of chewed food mixed with saliva. And where does it form and how is it formed? Formed in the mouth during chewing or mastication with the help of saliva from the salivary glands. And just now we saw that parotid glands are one of these salivary glands. And what is the function of the bolus? The bolus is easy to swallow and is pushed down the esophagus by peristalsis, which is wave-like muscle contraction in the esophagus, found in the mouth, pharynx and esophagus before reaching the stomach. So this is the food bolus which travels in the esophagus with a peristalsis movement and then reaches the stomach. Dissolution happens in the stomach, chemical and mechanical dissolution of the food bolus. In the duodenum, it becomes the chyme or chyme, where it is treated with the gastric juice. After treatment with the gastric juice and enzymes from the pancreas, absorption of the nutrients and waters happen in the small intestine, and fermentation happens by the gut bacteria present in the colon. And then reabsorption of any residual water in the large intestine, and the rest is excreted as feces from the rectum to the excretion channel. Now, what is the difference between a bolus and a chyme? State: bolus is in the semi-solid state, while chyme is a semi-liquid state, more liquid-like. Formation site: bolus is formed in the mouth, while chyme is formed in the stomach after it has entered the digestive system. Now, what are the enzymes involved in bolus formation? The primary enzyme involved in bolus formation is salivary amylase, while for chyme formation, the primary enzyme involved are pepsin and HCl. Now, the bolus moves when it is swallowed by the esophagus, while the chyme moves into the small intestine. And what is the purpose of bolus? Making the swallowing easier or ingestion of food, while chyme aids in digestion and absorption of food via the small intestine. Why is bolus the correct answer? Because a bolus is a soft, rounded mass of food mixed with saliva that forms in the mouth after chewing. It is prepared for swallowing and moves down the esophagus towards the stomach. Chyme is incorrect because chyme is semi-liquid substance formed in the stomach after food mixes with the gastric juices. Vestibule refers to the space between lips and cheek and the teeth, and uvula is a small fleshy extension at the back of the soft palate. So none of these options are correct, while bolus is the correct answer. Now, is it clear to the students? Just let me know in the chat box. Yes, very good. Moving on to the next question. Question number 6. Which of the following is not a part of the tongue? Which of the following is not a part of the tongue? Option A, foramen caecum. Option B, folate papilla. Option C, sulcus terminalis. Option D, uvula. Now you have to tell me which of these is not a part of the tongue. Foramen caecum, folate papilla, sulcus terminalis, or uvula. Let us take a minute or so to collect some answers, and then I'll reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Okay, I think it's time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Which of the following is not a part of the tongue? And the correct answer is option D, uvula. Option D, uvula, is the correct answer because that is not a part of the tongue, whereas all the other three are parts of the tongues. Foramen cecum, folate papilla, and sulcus terminalis. Now let us understand what are the different parts of the tongue and where do these three structures stand. So this is a schematic representing all the parts of the tongue. At the tip of the tongue is known as the apex. Then the body of the tongue consists of circumlingual papillae and filiform papilla. Filiform papilla and fungiform lingual papilla. So these are extensions on the surface of the tongue which harbors the taste buds. Then there is a medial lingual sulcum and the sulcum terminalis is somewhere around here. Where the sulcum ends is known as the sulcum terminalis. Foramen cecum is the gap between the tonsils and the sulcum terminalis, and then we have palatine tonsil and the epiglottis. Now uvula is the guarding point of the epiglottis. Foramen cecum is a small pit at the back of the tongue marking the origin of the thyroid gland. So you have to remember that the thyroid gland is present some in our throat, and the foramen cecum, which is at the base of the tongue, marks the origin of the thyroid gland. Folate papillae, papillae on the sides of the tongue containing taste buds, and sulcus terminalis, a V-shaped groove that separates the anterior and posterior parts of the tongue. So the anterior part of the tongue would be the apex, and the posterior parts would be the foramen cecum. Right? So all these three are parts of the tongue. While what is uvula? Now uvula is the part of the oral cavity. Now oral cavity includes everything: the lip, the teeth, the hard palate, the soft palate, retromolar trigone, tongue, the uvula, tonsils, buccal mucosa, and the floor of the mouth. Right? The uvula is not a part of the tongue but a small fleshy structure hanging at the back of the throat in the soft palate. This is the uvula. It helps in speech and prevents food from entering the nasal cavity. So it is guarding the nasal cavity, it is guarding the epiglottis, it prevents food from entering the nasal cavity, and it is also helpful in speech production, in generating sounds. So uvula is a part of oral cavity but not a part of the tongue. Okay? Is it clear to the students? If yes, then let's move forward. We are going good so far. Let's move on to the 7th question. The number of teeth in adult rabbit, human and dog are dashed. The number of teeth in adult rabbit, human and dog are dashed respectively. Option A 28, 32, 42. Option B 22, 32, 40. Option C 26, 32, 38. Option D 26, 32 and 32. What is the number of teeth in these adult animals? A rabbit, a human and a dog. This is a purely memory based question, so the answer is really black and white. If you know it, then you know it. If you do not, you do not. There is no guesswork, right? Okay, let's take a minute and collect some answers. I will reveal the correct answer to this question in a minute or so. Okay, it's time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. The number of teeth in adult rabbit, human, and dog are option A 28, 32, and 42 respectively. Adult rabbit 28, adult human 32, and adult dog 42 teeth. So this is the chart for dental formula for some common mammals. Man and monkey, I 2 by 2, C 1 by 1, PM 2 by 2, M 3 by 3. So the dental formula is 2123 by 2123 for man and monkey. So two of these and the total number is 32. For rabbit, what is the dental formula? I 2 by 1, C 0 by 0, PM 3 by 2, M 3 by 3, 2033 by 1023. This is the formula. So the total number of teeth is 28. And then for dog, we have I 3 by 3, C 1 by 1, PM 4 by 4, M 3 by 2. 3142 into 2, which is 42. So 28 for rabbit, 32 for human, and 42 for dog is the correct answer. And these are the dental formulas of some of the other common mammals. Now, what is a dental formula? Dental formula for human or for permanent dentition, the dental formula represents number and types of teeth in one half of the mouth, either upper or lower jaw in mammals, only one half. It is expressed using letters and numbers in the following order: ICPM, ICPM, ICPM by ICPM, where I is incisors, C is canines, P is premolars, and M is molars. So for a human, the dental formula would be something like this: I 2 by 2, it means in the upper jaw 2 incisors, in the lower jaw 2 incisors, 2 by 2. The numerator is for the upper jaw and denominator is for the lower jaw. Canine 1 by 1 and premolar 2 by 2, molar 3 by 3, 3 molars. And this is for one half of the whole jaw. Represents number and types of teeth in one half of the mouth. So one half of the mouth is this arrangement. So into 2 would be whole mouth. So there are 16 in the upper jaw, 3 plus 2 5 plus 2 7 plus 1 8, 16 in the upper jaw, 16 in the lower jaw, total making 32 number of teeth in human. The same if you apply dental formula of a rabbit and dog, you would get 28 and 42 respectively. So 28 teeth for rabbit, 32 for man, and 42 for dog are the correct answer. Do you agree with me? Is it clear to the students? Okay, very good. Moving on to the next question. The gullet is also known as dash. This can be a tricky question. The gullet is also known as dashed. Option A, bolus. Option B, uvula. Option C, food pipe. Option D, pharynx. What is the other name of the gullet? Let us wait for a minute and collect some answers. Then I'll reveal the correct answers. Okay, time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. The gullet is also known as the food pipe. Gullet is also known as the food pipe, not bolus, not uvula, not the pharynx. So, which is the gullet? The gullet is the esophagus or the food pipe. Gullet, also known as the esophagus, is a muscular tube that connects the throat, the pharynx to the stomach. So, it connects the pharynx to the stomach. Then we have the larynx, which is the voice box over the windpipe, and then the pharynx over the food pipe. And the junction is guarded by epiglottis. And the esophagus is the gullet, which is a narrow tube. In the esophagus, if you cut a cross section, you would see that the outer layer is known as adventitia, muscularis, submucosa, and mucosa. The inner lining is the endothelial lining. The inner lining is the epithelial lining, and mucosa. It is protected by the mucus layer or covering. It plays a crucial role in transporting food and liquids after swallowing. The gullet plays a crucial role via the peristaltic movement for transporting liquid and food down into the stomach. Here we have a representation showing the diaphragm, stomach, and the small bowel, which is the small intestine. So the correct answer is option C, food pipe, because the gullet is another name for the esophagus, which is called the food pipe. It is a muscular tube that transports food from the pharynx to the stomach. The other options are incorrect because bolus refers to the chewed food mixed with saliva. Uvula is a small fleshy structure at the back of the throat, and pharynx is the throat region that connects the mouth and the esophagus. So the correct answer for gullet is the food pipe. Okay, is it clear to the students? It was a short, quick, memory based question for everyone. Cool, very cool. Moving on to the next question, question number 9. Ileocecal valve guards dashed. The ileocecal valve. Option A, the junction of ileum with cecum. Option B, junction of ileum with rectum. Option C, junction of ileum with duodenum. Option D, the junction of ileum with jejunum. Ileocecal valve. It's quite obvious from the name of the valve, but still let us take a minute and collect some answers, and then I'll reveal what is the correct answer for this question. Okay, time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Ileocecal valve obviously guards the junction of ileum with cecum. Option A is the correct answer to this question. Ileocecal valves guards the junction of ileum with cecum. Now, what is the ileocecal valve? The ileocecal valve is a valve between the small intestine and the large intestine that prevents material from flowing back into the small intestine. So, after the food gets digested in the small intestine, the waste product goes into the large intestine. Now, the material cannot backflow into the small intestine due to the presence of this valve. Valves have the unique property of opening in only one direction, and this valve opens into the large intestine but not vice versa. So the flow cannot happen in the reverse direction into the small intestine. So this is the small intestine on my right. From a major area of digestion, the small intestine, which is deemed the kitchen area, the ileum connects the large intestine through this valve, the ileocecal valve, which is enlarged and shown here in cross section. The cecum is the starting portion of the large intestine, and the ileum is the ending portion of the small intestine. Now, the food that has been passing through the major area of digestion from the kitchen area, now the waste is going into the garbage area or in the large intestine for waste removal from the body. And this process goes through this valve called ileocecal valve. The ileocecal valve or ICV is a sphincter like structure located between the ileum, which is the last part of the small intestine, and the cecum, the first part of the large intestine. It regulates the passage of digested food from the small intestine to the large intestine. Now, what is the function of the ileocecal valve? It prevents black backflow, which is a major function, stops contents from the large intestine, including bacteria, from flowing back into the small intestine. So it is so tough that even bacteria in the large intestine do not invade the small intestine because of the ileocecal valve. Regulates food passage. It controls the movement of chyme from the ileum to the cecum at a steady rate, and aids in digestion and absorption, ensures that the food stays in the small intestine long enough for proper nutrient absorption before passing it on to the cecum in the large intestine, prevents overloading of the large intestine, helps in gradual entry of food into the large intestine for efficient water absorption. So most of the water reabsorption happens in the large intestine. So to maintain a gradual entry of food into the large intestine and preventing overloading is the function of ileocecal valve. Now, is it clear to the students? We learnt a bit about the functions of the ileocecal valve, the location in which it is present, the last part of the ileum joining the first part of the large intestine, which is the cecum, and guarding this entrance is the ileocecal valve. Is it clear to the students? Yes, very good. Moving on to the 10th question. Ptyalin is secreted in dash. Ptyalin is secreted in dash. Option A, stomach. Option B, small intestine. Option C, large intestine. Option D, mouth. Now you have to remember what is ptyalin, and since the hint is already in the question, ptyalin is an enzyme. In which part of the digestive system is it secreted? Is it stomach? Is it small intestine? Is it large intestine or the mouth? Let us take a minute and collect some answers from the students, and then I'll reveal the correct answer to this question and we will understand the explanation behind it. Okay, it's time for me to reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Tylen is secreted in the mouth. Tylen is secreted in the mouth. Tylen is also the second name for salivary amylase and is present is a primary component of the saliva of humans. Tylen is another name for salivary amylase, an enzyme that is secreted by the salivary glands in the mouth. It begins the digestion of carbohydrates, breaking down starch into maltose, a simple sugar. So it's an amylase, salivary amylase. It is a carbohydrate degrading enzyme. So the digestion of carbohydrates starts as early as in the mouth itself due to the presence of the secretion of tylen. Tylen is inactive and gets activated in the presence of chloride ions in the mouth. Now, what are the components of saliva and what are the major salivary glands? Parotid glands, as we saw in the earlier questions, produces serous secretion containing alpha amylase enzyme, tylen. Submandibular produces serous and mucus secretion. Sublingual similar to submandibular secretion. So these are all the glands: parotid glands, deep submandibular gland, superficial submandibular, and sublingual gland. The minor salivary glands, buccal glands, and secrete only mucus. And if you see what is the salivary flow per day, 1 to 1.5 liters of saliva per day. Major flow is unstimulated states come from the submandibular glands, and major flow in stimulated states come from parotid glands. Salivary alpha amylase or tylen is produced predominantly by the parotid glands, and mucin is produced mainly by the sublingual and submandibular salivary glands. So tylen is secreted in the mouth mostly by the parotid glands, while the mucin is produced mainly in the sublingual and submandibular salivary glands. Is it clear to the students? Very good. Moving on to the next question. Kwashiorkor is caused due to dashed. Kwashiorkor is caused due to dashed. Option A, protein deficiency. Option B, water deficiency. Option C, carbohydrate deficiency. Option D, lipid deficiency. What is the main cause for the disease Kwashiorkor? Let us take a minute and I will reveal the correct answer to this question a minute later. Okay, let us see. Let us see what is the correct answer to this question. Mrs. Babu has answered option A. Okay. The correct answer to this question is option A. Mrs. Babu is correct. Kwashiorkor is a protein deficiency. Kwashiorkor is majorly a protein deficiency, and this is a disease caused due to malnutrition. Now, what are the signs and symptoms of kwashiorkor. On my left is a normal child, and on my right is a child suffering from kwashiorkor. These are the characteristic symptoms of a baby undergoing malnutrition and suffering from kwashiorkor. There are hair changes, growth is stunted, there is failure in growth, anemia, low blood oxygen levels, poor growth, fatty liver, villous atrophy of small intestine shrinks, swollen belly or stomach, depigmentation, and edema or hyperalbuminemia. So, swelling at joints is edema, scaly skin, an enlarged belly, stunted growth, atrophy of small intestine, and anemia. These are the stark symptoms and signs of kwashiorkor. Now, there are two prominent malnutrition based diseases commonly occurring in children in the postnatal stage. It's kwashiorkor and marasmus. And kwashiorkor is a severe protein deficiency disorder that primarily affects young children, especially in developing countries where diet lacks sufficient protein. And what are the causes of kwashiorkor? Inadequate protein intake despite sufficient calorie consumption. So the calorie consumption or carbohydrate consumption is okay, but there is no protein consumption or inadequate protein intake. Poor diet due to poverty, famine, or limited access to protein rich foods. Infections or illness that increase protein requirements. So this is the protein deficiency is the major cause of this disease. And what are the major differences between kwashiorkor and marasmus? Kwashiorkor happens in preschool children 1 to 5 years of age, while marasmus happens in weakened infants less than 1 year old. Kwashiorkor major cause is low protein intake, whereas marasmus happens due to low calorie intake. Mild growth retardation in kwashiorkor, while severe growth retardation in marasmus. Mild reduction in body weight in kwashiorkor, severe reduction in body weight in marasmus. Protruding abdomen and subcutaneous fat reserve. This happens due to fatty liver and atrophy of the small intestine, while in marasmus there is a shrunken abdomen and subcutaneous fat is not there. Ribs are not very prominent. There are prominent ribs in marasmus. Enlarged fatty liver, poor appetite, edema, sparse hair. These are all signs of kwashiorkor, while for marasmus there is no fatty liver, edema is not present, an old man like face or a bony face, no hair changes, dry and wrinkled skin. So these are the major malnutrition based diseases happening in poverty stricken countries, developing countries where the diets lack sufficient protein. Protein deficiency can cause this deadly disease, kwashiorkor, in children aging from 1 to 5 years of age. Is it clear to the students? Good evening, Mrs. Babu. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. The substrate for renin is dashed. What is the substrate for renin? Option A, casein. Option B, paracasein. Option C, trypsinogen. Option D, chymotrypsinogen. What is the substrate for the enzyme renin? Is it option A, casein, option B, paracasein, option C, trypsinogen, option D, chymotrypsinogen? Let us wait for a minute and then collect some answers. I will reveal the correct answer at the end of the minute. What is the substrate for renin? And the correct answer to this question is option A, casein. Option A, casein is the correct answer. Casein is the substrate for the enzyme renin. Now, what happens in the stomach and where the enzyme renin is present? Renin is the enzyme that curdles milk proteins. The proteins that are present in milk are dissolved or curdle or precipitate out in the presence of enzyme renin. Renin converts the soluble caseinogen found in milk to insoluble casein. Caseinogen soluble in the presence of renin turns into casein, which is insoluble, and this process requires calcium. So calcium is the cofactor needed for function of the renin enzyme. This allows insoluble casein to remain in the stomach long enough for digestion by pepsin. So renin is the enzyme involved in digestion of milk by young infants in humans and in other mammals. So renin curdles the milk, turning the caseinogen into insoluble casein, which can then be processed by pepsin for digestion. Now, what happens when you ingest milk? The digestive process for traditional milk replacer, casein and whey, right? In rumen reticulum omasum, with the saliva and with renin, with hydrochloric acid and pH, due to muscular contractions, the casein curd is moved into the small intestine and it is absorbed via the peristalsis. How is the activation happening? Pepsinogen is acted upon by the HCl, hydrochloric acid present in the gastric juice, to pepsin, and prorenin is acted upon by HCl and turning into activated form of renin. Now, digestion of proteins. Protein, when acted upon by pepsin, turns into proteases plus peptides. Milk casein acted upon by renin turns into paracasein. Paracasein converts in the presence of calcium to calcium paracaseinate, which is then digested by pepsin to form peptones and proteases. Renin or chymosyne, which is another name of the renin, is an enzyme found in the stomach of infants and young animals. It helps in the digestion of milk by acting on casein, the main protein in milk. Renin converts soluble casein into insoluble paracasein, which then forms a clot, making it easier for digestion by pepsin. This process prevents milk from passing too quickly through the stomach, allowing for better nutrient absorption. Okay, is it clear to the students? Very good. Moving on to the 13th question. The incisors teeth are used for dashed. Option A, meat tearing. Option B, cutting the food. Option C, crushing the food. Option D, grinding the food. The incisors teeth are used for tearing, cutting, crushing or grinding. Let us wait for a minute and then I'll reveal the correct answer. Okay, time to reveal the correct answer to this question. Incisors are meant for cutting the food. Option B is the correct answer. Incisors teeth are used for cutting the food. So these are the four major types of teeth that we have got incisors used for cutting food. They are this shaped. Canines used for tearing food. Canines are pointy. Premolars used for grinding and chewing food only appear in adult set of teeth, and molars used for grinding and chewing food, used for crushing food. Right? Incisors for cutting, canines for tearing, premolars for chewing, grinding and chewing, and molars for crushing the food. Incisors are the sharp, chisel shaped front teeth used for cutting and biting food. Incisors are the most front teeth. Humans have a total of 8 incisors, 4 in the upper jaw, maxillary, and 4 in the lower jaw, mandibular. Types of incisors: central incisors, 2 in each jaw, larger and more prominent. Lateral incisors, slightly smaller and positioned next to the central incisors. Function of the incisors: cutting and biting, helps in taking bites of food. Aesthetics and speech, they play a role in pronunciation and facial appearance. Guiding jaw closure, helps in proper alignment of the teeth. The incisors have these many roles: major role in cutting and biting of food, and guiding the jaw closure, also helps in aesthetic and speech. 2 central incisors and 2 lateral incisors. I hope it's clear to the students. Very good. Now to the 14th question. Human beings exhibit dash mode of nutrition. Coming back to nutrition again. Human beings exhibit dash mode of nutrition. Option A, Holozoic nutrition. Option B, saprophytic mode of nutrition. Option C, parasitic mode of nutrition. Option D, holophytic mode of nutrition. Humans and their mode of nutrition. Let us take a minute and collect some answers. Okay, I think it's enough time for me to reveal the answer. Humans exhibit Holozoic mode of nutrition. Option A, Holozoic, is the correct answer to this question. Human beings exhibit Holozoic mode of nutrition. Now, what is Holozoic nutrition? What are the types of heterotrophic nutrition? So, in the earlier slides, we have learned that there are two major types of nutrition: autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic mode of nutrition, in which organisms can synthesize their own food or organic molecules from the present inorganic substances, and heterotrophic, in which they depend on other organisms for their nutrition. Now, heterotrophic nutrition can be of 3 types: saprotrophic nutrition, in which dead plants, dead and decaying animal bodies serve as a source of nutrition, example mushrooms and yeasts. Parasitic nutrition feeds on another living organism, example tapeworm and lice. Holozoic nutrition, ingestion of organic food materials, example human beings and amoeba. So when you ingest or you eat organic food materials, that is known as Holozoic nutrition. Holozoic, eating the organism as a whole. Holozoic nutrition is a mode of nutrition in which organisms ingest, digest, absorb, and assimilate complex organic food. We humans do all this. We ingest the food, digest our food, absorb the nutrients, and assimilate the waste in the complex organic food. Humans follow a Holozoic mode of nutrition as they consume solid food, break it down into simpler substances, and absorb the nutrients. Stages of Holozoic nutrition in humans: ingestion, the process of taking in food through the mouth; digestion, breakdown of complex food substances into simpler absorbable forms using enzymes. Example: proteins into amino acids, carbohydrates into sugars. Absorption, nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream from the small intestine. And assimilation, the absorbed nutrients are transported to different cells and tissues to produce energy and build body structures. Egestion, the undigested waste materials are excreted as feces through the anus. Is it clear to the students? Very good. Coming to the last question of this session, question number 15. The pH of the stomach is acidic because of the presence of dash. This is an easy question. The pH of the stomach is acidic because of the presence of dash. Option A, lactic acid. Option B, hydrochloric acid. Option C, sulfuric acid. Option D, uric acid. This answer won't take long, so I'll wait a minute and then reveal the correct answer. What is the acid which is present in the stomach which reduces the pH of the stomach, making it acidic? Okay, time for me to reveal the final answer to this question. The pH of the stomach is acidic because of the presence of HCl or hydrochloric acid, which is present in the gastric juice of the stomach. Option B is the correct answer. Hydrochloric acid is the acid which decreases the pH of the stomach. Now, how strong is our stomach acid? The stomach acid is composed of HCl, KCl, and NaCl, all chlorides, which are made in the presence of HCl. Stomach acid lies close to the end of pH scale with a pH around 1 to 2. It is highly acidic, strongly acidic. In an experimental study, scientists have found that our stomach acid is capable of dissolving small pieces of steel. You recognize that this is so strong. These acids are so strong. They are capable of even dissolving steel, small pieces of steel. So now, which cells do secrete this gastric juice or the HCl? Parietal cells, also known as oxyntic cells, are specialized cells in the stomach responsible for secreting hydrochloric acid. These cells are located in the gastric glands of the stomach, fundus, and body. Function of the HCl in stomach: activates pepsinogen, converts inactive pepsinogen into active pepsin, an enzyme that digests the proteins, kills harmful microorganisms. The acidic environment destroys bacteria and pathogens in food, aids in digestion. Low pH helps break down food and facilitates digestion, promotes enzyme activity. The acidic environment is essential for pepsin to function properly and enhances nutrient absorption. HCl helps in the absorption of iron and calcium. HCl secretion is regulated by gastrin hormone, stimulates parietal cells to release HCl, acetylcholine released by nerve endings to stimulate acid secretion, histamine enhances HCl secretion, and negative feedback mechanism: when pH is too low, secretion decreases to prevent excessive acidity. So this is the whole function of the HCl being secreted by the parietal cells of the stomach, which makes the overall pH of the stomach highly acidic. I hope it is clear to the students. Absolutely, very good. With this, we have come to the end of the problem solving session for week 8. I will close my presentation and stop presenting. Turn on my video for once. Yeah. So students, with this, we have come to the end of practice problem set week 8. We have solved the 15 questions, and I hope it was all clear to you guys. Thank you for participation, and see you next week with problem set week 9. Till then, thank you for joining the class, and I will end the call. Thank you.